All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is Monday, February 11th, 2019. This is a Monday night webinar, and the title of tonight's webinar is Tight Stops After the Trade Entry with Lightning Swings. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right, I don't see any, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, I went ahead, I just had time to barely get all my data. I use Market Replay to do the webinars because that way a person can really see and learn, because, in an hour's time, we might not get, 6 bars at this time of night. So, basically what I do is show some of the trades that we called during the day and how they were called and also how to trade them. And looking at this chart right now, I think, without me even saying anything, you'd pretty much figure right now anyway that the trend is what? It's pretty much down, right? So when we talk about tight stops after the trade entry, and I think that's really important, by the way, because if you don't have tight stops and you get in trades, you're going to have to start doing that because, if you're ever going to get to where, for instance, you do, say, 3 or 4 contracts, you can't give them loose stops. I mean, they will change your P&L in a heartbeat. 3 contracts, to give an example, on oil, if you get hit with 10 ticks, you're down $300. And it doesn't take much to get hit with 10 ticks. So $300, would be a pretty sad way to start a day. But also, when you think about it, if you use tight stops, or loose stops, pardon me, on even one contract, you're still going to be down $100 bill. Or maybe 150. And, that's just not the way we teach it. So basically what I do each and every day is, as everybody knows, I draw on my charts. I will draw my resistance area, like right across here, for instance. I see that. You've got a dot right there. That's a lightning 3 swing. All right. So, as long as it doesn't take it out, if it gets anywhere near it and rolls over, I would consider it still a downtrend. All right, if it pops above this and comes back and kisses it, I would consider it an uptrend, but it would have to do that first. So when we talk about, boxing in, and, the one thing that makes Viper, I think, a lot different than the average vendor out there and even the average trader as far as that goes, is that, we're not looking for an exact entry. For instance, could anybody in the world of trading tell me if this would hit its head here and you could say, okay, I'm going to short 27 and, give it 10 ticks or whatever? No, you can't, because, they could literally just take this thing straight up if they wanted to, and no amount of indicators out there or anything. But there is something to lightning swings, very much so to lightning swings, because we're always looking at lightning to take our trades. Bear with me one second. I'm going to get rid of this Skype here, and I'm going to bring a chart over here to you just real quick, because there's some people that are new, so I want to show this just real quick. All right, this is a little chart that I like to use to show people, and basically what I did is I took an actual chart on on a 4 range single swing strength, and then just basically did my 2, and then I redrew them so that they would be accurate. Okay, and always keep in mind that there are definitely 3 trends on your chart, if not 4 or more, but there's at least these 2 right here that we trade. This one is a little bit more on trend changes. Okay, because when you're looking at Lightning 3, if you're stair stepping up with Lightning 3, you're pretty much in an uptrend. If you're stair stepping down with Lightning 3, you're in a downtrend. And it's pretty easy to get some of those great trades. But we always look at, boxing in you know, when we get a retrace, like a thrust and a retrace, okay, and we box them in, but we put nice tight stops on them, okay? So let me show you what I'm talking about on this particular chart. We'll go ahead and take this one down and go to the actual trading chart. Now, when you see this right here, and that's all you can see so far, does everybody see that right now, basically, for it to break lightning would be right under here? At least right now it would be. Now, it doesn't mean it will be before it's over. Okay, that's where it is right now. All right, so we let it go a little bit. Now, where's our lightning? High, low, lower high, but we don't have a lower low yet. But if we do get a lower low, then this lightning is broken. Everybody see that? So could you put a tight stop on it if you were to decide to take this trade? Anybody? Sure you could. And by the way, more than likely, this is actually, I would just about bet my bottom dollar just looking at this that that's probably really close to a mid-band. So we would probably box it pretty tight, even more like this, you know, simply so we wouldn't have to wait for that entire thing to break, you know, because we're mid-band traders, you know, quite often is what we like to do on those. Let's just set it like that. All right. So let's say if this is mid-band, okay, that this is more than likely where we would be boxing it in. But we're also going to box it with lightning, so I'm going to go ahead and draw another box, like right here. And let's see if, okay, we broke the box. We definitely broke this one. So let's bring this on over. Now, is this a legitimate trade? And by the way, I watched Charles' webinar from Saturday too. And, you know, always when you take a trade, you want to realize that if you've got a low, let's say you're shorting to give an example, you've got a low down here, you don't know if it's going to get there. But you do know that you got the potential to do possibly down here or possibly, you know, somewhere in the middle, but maybe at least 10 ticks. But that's also why we put a tight stop on it. So let's say that you got in right here at the bottom of this box, okay, and your stop is right above the box right here, okay, with the close of a bar. Now, let's say that you got in here at, I don't know, 52, 16, 15, something like that. All right, so at 15, we just expect 10 ticks for a good little scalp, right? Okay, so let's see if we can actually get that. Now, this trader that's trading this one is going to have to put their stop here also, or at least here. See where this little swing's trying to show up right here? So let's say that they don't get filled until it breaks 12, okay? So, you know, the aggressive trader at mid-band, he's getting filled at maybe 16, 15, something like that. I'll go ahead and put the line. Let's say he gets filled something like that. This person, trader, is going to get filled probably somewhere like this, okay, 52.10-ish. All right, so let's see. Tight stop, let's just see which one works out. Tight stop, remember. Okay, all right, so let's say the person got in at 14 or 13, something like that. They definitely got their 10 ticks, right? Okay, the person that got in at 10 or 9, they haven't gotten 10 ticks yet by any means. Okay, so where's their stop on the person that got in later? Wouldn't their stop be right above here using lightning swings? Just right above that area right there. So will they make some money on this? Now, let's say they got in at 9, and maybe even, let's just say 11. Maybe they got in at 11. We'll give it 11, but let's put our stop just above this little swing area here because that's our lightning. All right, we're just trying to get 10 ticks. All right, looks like we got 10 ticks. We actually did get 10 ticks, it looks like. So this trader is successful. This trader is successful. This trader here, if they were to wait and box it in like this, Will they be successful? It's hard to say, but their stop would have to be here. Okay, if they're using lightning swings. All right, so let's see. Let's look to the left to trade the right. Got a high, low, higher, high. So that's a good swing right down here. They'll probably test that more than likely, and they just did. They might even test here. Let's see. Okay, it's bouncing a little bit. See it? All right, now, the person that got in here already got his 10 ticks, bounced off support. Where would you take this trade off the table? Well, I would probably start drawing a line right in through here, and more than likely, if they take out that resistance there at 06, or even draw a trend line on it, something like that, I would probably get out of my runner. You're still okay, and you're out. Okay? See there by using your swings? Now, if you get in at mid-band and you just give it to mid-band again, what if this doesn't take out this low? Are you going to make any money? And the answer is probably no. That's why I don't like mid-band trades on crude oil unless they're really running. Like this morning, to give an example, you remember when we dropped that 120 ticks or so? It never even came down, even close back to mid-band. And I'll show you how to manage that trade the same way we're doing here. It's just a little different because if it drops more, it's going to have tighter swings. Okay? And these swings, like I say, are super important because let's just see what this did. Okay? You've got a thrust, retrace, thrust. You definitely got a higher low than this one here. You're right in here, so see they're kind of bouncing off that swing right there. They took out the trend line. We already saw that. All right, so I would be out of that trade. And let's see. Oh, we don't have any more information. So let's see if somebody else gets more money or not. But if you're actually trying to get, good trades, to give an example, let's say that you did 3 contracts up here, had your stop really tight. You're in, you're feeling a little bit of heat, and it rolls over, didn't take you out. You're still stair-stepping down. You broke the trend line, so like I said, I would probably get out of that, maybe even off the bounce possibly if it, had a little consolidation of candles. We don't know that without looking at the actual chart. Okay, but let's look at the chart and see if we can do the same thing, the same analysis on the actual chart. And by the way, this is the actual chart you're looking at. It's just simply it doesn't have price bars on it. So let's go to the real chart. Let's see what's going on. All right, so see what I was saying? I thought that looked like a mid-band to me. That's a very tight box. Okay, now in hindsight, it worked out. But what if you had gotten in this trade right here on the break of the box? You see a swing over here to the left, see it? Right across there. And so you get in the trade. What if it was to bip up and take you out of that trade? Because it can easily do that. But, to be what I consider to be successful without giving away a bunch of your money each day is you've got to, if you get in these trades like this, you can't let it then zip up here, hold the trade and hope and pray that it's going to roll over. It might. I mean, it would be a phantom if it did, but would you want to hold that all the way up into here? And I would say no. It's kind of like, to give an example, let's see if Greg's in here right now. Just 1 second. Greg mentioned, I don't see him in here right now, but Greg had mentioned this morning that he went long above the little white box and got like a little quick scalper. Okay, but then quickly shorted my call that I made this morning on the oil. Now, see, that doesn't mean that he couldn't quickly get, like $150 and take the coin. Or maybe he's even trading 2 charts like I've taught before too. Okay, let's see. Do you count it as a mid-band trade if it's within 3 ticks of the mid-band? Yes. The reason for that is because you want to look at the predictors. Okay, the predictors themselves are really important on the mid-band. See, like this predictor drew here, it comes down and kisses predictor and takes off. This one kisses predictor, still holds, takes off. Okay, this one here, these never got to predictors, so those are, no-goes. This is a little bit shallow to me to take, but I will take them. You know, I know Charles in his webinar yesterday or Saturday had said, you know, this doesn't meet the minimum criteria. This one really doesn't here either. And for some reason, my stealth is gone. I'll get it back. Okay. So, but you can still take trades that kiss resistance areas if you want to. Okay. You know, for instance, if you saw this in real time, you said, wow, I missed the thrust. Well, draw your line on the chart and you know that it's going to come back and kiss an area. And if you draw your lines and it's already kissed it, then it's probably going to kiss the next one. You know, see, that's what it did, and then it headed down some more. So you can take those trades even if they're minimum if you draw on your charts. Okay, let's go ahead and get these lines back to navy or some blue or something. All right, so let's see if we can get a trade. So we got this one. All right, now if you're a gutsy trader, by the way, you could actually draw a trend line across these tops. Wow, that orange is hard to see. Let's fix that one too. Dark blue's good. You could draw a trend line across here, and could you put a stop right here if it breaks that trend line? Absolutely. You know, that's what I'm talking about by tight stops. Now, you don't want to get in the habit of doing against trends unless you're really quick at getting profit. You know, for instance, if it broke that trend line, if that thing even popped up to mid-band and gave me 6 or 7 ticks, I'd probably take it. Or at least, you know, if I run a runner, I would not let it go against lightning. Let's see, so are you using Lightning 1, and what is the sensitivity setting? The sensitivity setting on Lightning 1 is always just 4-1, Michael, but you can use Lightning 2. Lightning 2 is simply means that 2 bars have to go before it will draw. Now keep in mind, even Lightning 1 can go like this. Even Lightning 1 can do that. You know, you might have been down here, you know, basically doing this for a little bit and this for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it just shoots up. Now, I teach people all the time that you don't want to obviously put your stop on Lightning 1 if it did something like this, okay? You know, you want to make sure that, you know, we still got to use common sense, obviously, and, you know, because trading is common sense. But see, what I'm saying is, let's say that you had taken some kind of a breakout. I don't know. Let's just pretend you got in here for some reason. Not saying to, but I'm just saying because I drew this lightning. And if you all of a sudden see it do that with Lightning 1, protect your coin, because that means that every bar closed up. Okay, you didn't get a bar closing down at all. Because to be Lightning 1, it has to be, you know, drawing these little lightning areas like this. That's the way it does. It just goes back and forth, back and forth. Okay? So always remember, when I say lightning, you know, I'm going to put my stop at lightning. Well, if I get a shotgun like this, there's no way I'm putting my stop under here. Not a chance. Because, you know, that's like say a 40 tick pop. And you can see that occasionally. I've seen it many times before where oil or Russell or ES, you know, will just take 17 bars straight up. You know, now keep in mind that a bar can go straight up, but it'll still take out half the bar, shoot half the bar. Even though they close up, they'll still take out the previous part of the previous bar. It's not like they just stack on top of each other straight up. They don't. It'd be nice if they did. Then your line would go like this, but that can't happen because they always, you know, they'll pop, and they'll pull back, and they'll pop and pull back, pop and pull back. Even if they don't close down, it'll still stair step. Okay, so it'd be more like this, even if it was straight up. So keep that in mind, you know, when you're trading, because, you know, even though I'll use power meter a lot of times to get out of a trade, I won't use power meter if it did something like this. Because what if this was to go, instead of stair stepping back down? Now you could use power meter, because if it did this, and let's say you got a lower high, see, like a lower high, and then it breaks, that would actually trigger that the moment it broke this with the close of a bar. So you could use power meter like that, but what if it was one of those days where it just blipped up and then it almost literally just went straight back down? I've seen those days too. Not too often, but you don't want to be just holding it while it drops 30 ticks. Okay, so you know, definitely use common sense. Okay, now what I'm showing here very seldom ever happens, but I have seen it before where it will do something like that. Just make sure when it does something like that, you kind of look and say, okay, if it hit 52.72 and I got in way down here at 26, I'm probably going to put my stop just under, you know, maybe 10 ticks or so. Just give them a little wiggle room. You know, because 10 ticks with a couple of contracts is still $200 back in their pocket. Okay, let's see if we can get another trade here real quick. All right, this is right at midnight. Like I said, I was just barely able to get everything uploaded. I had some people I was helping this afternoon, and well, Mondays are usually pretty busy for me. I know Charles doesn't have as much to get done, but I do. All right, let's see here. Probably shouldn't have recorded that, should I? Now, like I said, if you're a gutsy trader, and now would you take this short right here? Anybody? If you didn't already get in here, would you take this here? And please say no. Because if you were to take it there, that's not even close to 10 ticks down if you waited for a bar to close below that swing. So no. Now, if you were to take this trade, if it broke this little swing and it just cratered through and you could, you know, it never goes against you. Yeah, I mean, you know, maybe you weren't up at 8 o'clock at night and you just got up here. But I wouldn't take it until it broke this swing with a closed bar, and then that's awful close to that bottom. So if I took that trade, I would just simply take it only if it stayed below that line. And I mean stays below that line. So it would take this out and just keep on trucking. If it didn't, no, I'd get out of it really quick. You can chase trades though. Okay. But if you do chase trades, you have to realize that you have to make sure that they don't go against you. Yeah, I don't know why my stealth isn't showing. Let me quickly fix it. I think I do know it's market replay does that quite a bit. Yeah, my stealth is actually, the reason for that is because it hasn't had a chance to draw a full bar and everything. So let me get this thing rolling on this chart real quick, and I'll reset the template, and I'll bet it'll come back. Or I'll just do another chart. It'll probably come back. Let me just do that. I'll do another chart. See if we got stealth on that one. Yeah. All right, we'll just go to this one instead. The reason for that is because when you pause market replay, see, stealth is actually an MTF indicator, which means multiple tick frames, and it's not able to calculate. Okay, so if you ever run into something like that, just draw you another chart or reload your template. All right, let's see. We'll put Object Trader on. Hopefully we don't lose stealth. Did everybody see the new Object Trader today in the room? It's going to be pretty cool. Now, let's say, for instance, that you're a gutsy trader, and I'm not telling you to be a gutsy trader. What if you were to take a trade if it busted above that line right there? Anybody? Just don't let it go back against you. You want to try it and see if it works? If it goes above that line, I'll just take a quick trade and let's just see if it works. All right, I'll put a nice tight stop on it just in case. And I'll even go a little tighter than that, like right there. Okay, that's if you're going to be a gutsy trader that you're saying, okay, I'm going to take this if it breaks that swing at all. Everybody see that? Where I just got in above that. Now, I'm not saying to do it that way, okay? And you'll definitely want to put it on exit on close so you don't get wicked out, okay? But, you know, for instance, if this is getting a higher low here, You know, could I take a chance of trying to get like a 10 tick trade? Let's just try it. That's 9. Let's go for 10. 10 ticks. That's all I want. If it pops up, I'll bring it up to lightning. See, that's the only way that I will take something like that. Now, I know a lot of our traders that will do that same thing, but you don't let it go back against you, you know, once you get in a little bit of profit. Okay. So we're up 40 bucks. Now we're 20. Now we're 30. You know, see what I'm getting at? You can make some money doing even trades like that if you want to. It looks like it's going to tag it. There's a $100 bill. Okay. Now, is this a trend change yet? Anybody? Now we've got a swing right across here that's lightning 3. So if this were to hit around in here and roll over, we'd be looking for a short, wouldn't we? Okay. So somebody says, well, why'd you take that long there? Well, because it broke lightning. If you want to. It also broke a trend line. See it? Right here? I taught this in a webinar a few weeks ago. Is that a decent trade still? Yes. But you have to be careful with them. You don't let it go 100 against you and go, oh, you know, you just don't do it that way. Okay? Let me set that default on that. All right, this looks like it's going to be a phantom trade to me. Let's do a region. Let's do a phantom trade. Let's see if we can get 2 contracts. Let's see, that'd be about $320 if we got that. Now I've got a little wick here. I like touch myself. That's 1 tick. There's 2. Okay, where would your stop be? Anybody? Quickly, you got to make the decision. Right on top there, exit on close. Okay? Because I don't want to give them, you know, a chance to take a bunch of my money. Okay, now notice that we went from 100 down to 60 already. Well, that's just the fill of the bar is what that is. What if this decides to just shoot up here and just head up like a big dog? It could do it. Usually you want to lag it about 2 ticks above that swing just in case so they don't wick you out of it. See, like what I'll normally do is like this right here. I'll just put it like 2 ticks above that swing right there. Because we don't know if it's going to pop up, but I'm not going to flip it. You know, if it takes me, it takes me. I'm not going to flip that trade. Well, that's close to getting us. I'm going to add one if this is a phantom so far. Now, if it takes me, it takes me. I'll be down a little bit. That's no big deal. Phantom so far. Now, if it'll break this swing, we'll tighten our stop just a little bit. And that's what we're talking about using tight stops on these. See, I've got this on a 9 tick stop. Now, 9 ticks is still going to be 280 bucks or 180 bucks, unfortunately. So I'll be down about 80 bucks. We'll see if it gets us. If it does, it does. See how that's just right at resistance? It's trying to cross it. That's what they do a lot. You know, they'll check these swing areas like that and just barely break them and then pull over. And more than likely, when you see that, you'll probably actually end up coming somewhere down in this area right here, probably. Because they'll try to check that low. Did anybody fall for a long, except for the one that I took with the little trend line break that was above the swing? Now we got our 100 back. Let's speed this up a little bit. Decent little trade. We'll put it right down here if we can get there. And this one, we broke out of that swing, so they should at least check that, see where I took that long a minute ago, where that swing is. We'll go ahead and take some profit there. And now, wouldn't we tighten our stop so we can't get killed on this trade unless we don't get this trade? Okay, if this hits, we're okay. Now, if it doesn't hit, you could even tighten it a little bit more, like right above here. See where that swing is? You got to be real careful with too tight a swings, though, but you also want to protect your coin. And we got it. Now, I would probably, if I was trading this and I was up nicely like this, I'd watch the bars and I'd probably get out of one if it even bounces up a little bit, because I don't like to give back a bunch on two. And we've got a tool for that. You can just simply turn on bar close long and it'll get you out of one. Then you can move your runner wherever you want it. Okay? Now, by doing that, see, looks like we're coming down here. Like I said, we might. Oh, that's not good. I'd put my stop right there at mid-band for sure on that one. Matter of fact, anybody want to take a shot at a trend line break? The way that shotgunned off that bottom, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it doesn't break it. It's already breaking it. So usually when they do that, I reposition my trend line like that and go ahead and take the trade if it breaks it. Now that's a little bit gutsy of a trade because I would have really rather had it more down and through here with this trend line. See it? But that was too quick. It popped it. See that? Right there. That's definitely a double bottom too. Oh, not bar close. Oh, want a wedge. Thank you. Somebody caught that. We don't want a bar close because we want to actually break this trend line if we're going to head up. Now, let me ask you a quick question. If this does head up, if it breaks that trend line, this is that typical example of what I was talking about. Would you put your stop clear under here? No. No, because to me, that's too far back for that to break that trend line. That's going to be a good 15 ticks by the time we break that trend line, if we do. See what I'm talking about? This is definitely trying to head up, though. See, it's not even trying to test that support. Now, you know, we talk about boxing these in all the time, too. Well, this is pretty much boxing it in. See, we're way too late to go with power meter because it's already turned green. So if this breaks above that line, where would I put my stop? Anybody? Well, I would kind of figure if they break it, looking to the left to trade the right, I see a swing right across here at 09. I wouldn't want them to close below it, because if they break above it, they should come back and kiss it, but they shouldn't really take it out. Let's see if we get a working trade at all. I'm going to do two. See if we get anything. Now, could you be ready for a roll? There we go. We got it anyway. Let's move a target out of the way, put a target up there at the top. Now, where would I put my stop? Nice and tight on here, everyone. See there? Now, that turned out to be a decent trade. What did it do? It broke a trend line. Okay. Now, is that a gutsy trade? No, that's exactly like the one that I took this morning at 55. Remember I called it? Because you got to be anticipating. And I noticed this more than anything when they thrust really quickly, that you can pretty much count on at least a good retrace. Now, is this going to change trends on us? We don't know for sure. But what if you weren't even in this trade right now? All right, you didn't catch it here, and we're not thrust traders, okay? But where could you actually see if you could very possibly get in this trade? And I see a swing right across here. See it right there, and looking to the left to trade the right. I wouldn't want them to take out this swing over here. That'd be a little too low. So if they were to bounce off of this one, could you actually take it there? And the way to do it would be that you would only want to do it is if it bounces off that line, it doesn't touch it again. You know, see if it does. I don't know if it will or not, but let's find out. Yep, see it, take it out, and go right back through it. That's what they do. They constantly check these swings. And that's why we're as good as we are at drawing on these charts where everybody can get a really, really good trade. Okay, now keep in mind, we haven't moved our stop yet. We haven't used an automatic stop or anything. But if you're looking at this chart right now, all right, and you've got a little thrust, retrace, thrust, isn't this a little swing right across here? Wouldn't you think this would hold on a pullback on a close of a bar? I would think it would. Let's see if it does. Lightning 1. And if it doesn't, maybe we don't want it anyway because it could go all the way to mid-band. There you go. Let it go again. Going to test right on top of here. Usually when I see that, I'll put my stop right on top of the previous swing and leave it on exit on close. See the swing right across there? Right where my cursor's at. And then if it breaks up, you'll expect it to come back and kiss this area here also. So draw a line. And that got us. Would we go again? Well, I probably would if it actually bounces above that line. See that line 6 right there? And it held this, but I would put my stop tight and now tighter, like that. See, because that did bip us. Now, that's the one thing that they will do to you, is you'll draw on your charts, you'll get these little micro moves, and then they'll quickly, try to bip you out. Now, that shouldn't have technically taken my trade off the table with exit on close because it didn't close, unless that bottom one did. It may have just been in the calculation from the broker because to me that looks like that closed up and that closed up. So I don't think that would have triggered. But keep in mind that market replay is historical data, that during the day there is some differences. We've talked about that before. It's not major. There you go. Just got you a good trade, but we just got stopped out. But where's another trade on this chart? Anybody? Anybody see one? Well, let's see if we can. Got a high, we got a low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Okay, so they're going to, if they break this, they're going to go down and check more of a medium swing. If they pop up and come back and kiss this area right here, I would probably be looking for a trade right around this 30 area also. Let's see if we get something. Does everybody see a little bit more how you can really watch your charts and, put nice tight stops? Now, for a minute, let me pause the screen, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the open of the room today. It'll take a minute because I'm going to put it on 500 times. Let's see if it kisses some of those areas. Look at that. Kissed my line. Took off. Could you have taken that trade? Absolutely, you could take that trade. I drew it ahead of time. All right, but let's go to 7:30. We don't care about all this movement. We'll just let it go. Anybody see a phantom trade setting up? Very possibly. It didn't come to line 2, so I don't like that one yet. If it comes down in this little sweet spot, I would grab it. Grabbing it at Phantom. Tight stop. We'll put our stop under here just as soon as it gets to where we can, like that. See there? We only got one tick to lose now. See how I was watching for that Phantom right there? That's a trade that I watch for every single day. And you do want a tight stop on it just in case it decides to totally roll over and take this thing out. I'd probably move this target and move this one up here. And then I'd move this stop right in through here. See that swing? And if it goes up again, I'd move it again. That looks like good to me. We're going 500 times, so keep in mind, I'm just trying to do it by swings. There we go. We just got another monster. I just saw that. I just decided to take it. All right. So now you get up in the morning, okay, and it's 7:55 when we open that room. Now let me ask a quick question. If you were looking at this chart right here, you can pretty much see that they double topped. They took it out a little bit. They could bounce a little bit here and everything. But remember, we called a short on this silly thing, and it was right in through here on the room opening this morning. Let's see. It's helpful to see you manage it. Wish we could. Well, Daniel, on your question, the reason and the one thing that we are all about in our room and unapologetically is teaching people to see the trades in real time. Now, in the room, I will call the trades because, matter of fact, we called the trade this morning on crude oil. Everybody remember it? Let me see if everybody can pick out a trade real quick. Let's just play this thing through a little bit. We'll wait for our room to open. To be fair, our room opens at 7:55, so let's just fast forward it to 55. It's getting close. Now, does that look like an uptrend anymore? So if you draw on your charts, all right, there's our little box right there. Remember it this morning in the room? All right, so if you draw on your charts, draw on your little lightning threes first off. There's a mid band. They can't take out this little swing here if they're going to head down. So you draw the line across here even. See, like so. All right. And see, they just kissed it. Now, is this a trade that was called in the room this morning, right here on this predictor? And it still gave you time to get it. Could you put your stop just in case this thing decided to pop up, maybe 9 ticks, bring it down even on top of the swing now that it's actually done its thing. It's rolling over a little bit. But see what they do continually. And if you draw on your charts, you'll see them kiss those resistance areas, and then they'll roll over. Our predictors will tag these trades pretty darn good. See how that tagged it? If you drew a line across that predictor right there, it pretty much just nailed it within a tick. And this trade was called in the room. But what if you didn't get it and you said, you know what? Could there be a little wedge trade in the picture for you? Wedge trade touch +2, for instance. Is that a risky trade? Not as much at the open. Keep in mind at the open, this is already rolled over, so I would probably only add one. But the swing was actually here. See it? If you drew your line. Now, talking about those tight stops that we talked about earlier, though, okay, so that you can make money on as many trades as are called during the day. There's 3 contracts, all right? Could you definitely now bring to break even and even take some coin? You could always cover one, or you could use lightning and ride the thing down, okay? This thing actually just literally just started dropping and dropping and dropping. And if you didn't matter of fact, you can even just get rid of your targets just by clicking them And you could just ride this thing the way I called it this morning in the room. Could you put your stop? You've got resistance right across here and here. So you could bring your stop down in that area and you couldn't lose a dime on that trade. And if you draw your lightning, I'll draw the lightning on it. Let's draw lightning 1, and we'll draw lightning 2 also. See lightning 2, see it's straight down. So when lightning 2 is straight down, draw lightning 1. You got resistance right across here. Could you put your stop across that area? Don't get too tight, though, if you're going to try to get these monster runs. Okay? Because oil this morning did not do anything except just start heading straight down. But that's exactly the way we teach these. You know, the one thing that we don't do like a lot of vendors do, we're not actually saying get in exactly at this predictor. Okay, because what if it just went on up? An aggressive trader gets in at that predictor. What if you're not an aggressive trader? Well, what about that trend line? And it had already hit it, but I would have drawn it more like that, because if you can clearly see thrust, retrace, and then it tried to head up, but it couldn't. So if it broke that little swing there, it was heading down. And don't worry about these lows at the open of the market. Now, what Charles was teaching on Saturday, I totally agree with if you're in sideways chop and everything, but at the open of the market, all bets are off. They move these markets. That's why some of our people actually use this time of the day to just get ultra green. Okay, would you give it that much of a stop back with 3 contracts? Probably not. I'd go ahead and buy to cover one, more than likely. You know, just that way you don't, give up $300 or $400 of your money. But could you stay in this trade as long as it heads down with lightning? And the answer is yes. Okay? And you could just keep moving your stop the minute it breaks. Like that, see? Remember when it kind of shotgunned even this morning? But was it through? It wasn't even through then, remember? We even said, wow, that shotgun, be careful. Got your swing right across there. Got to exit on close. Am I worried about that trade? Not really. Now, I'd be watching it, because if it took out that swing, I wouldn't be a happy camper. But does everybody remember what oil just kept doing, kept doing? So why would you want to give up the ghost if you could get, a monster move and just keep moving your stop just above those little swings? And when it finally breaks these swings, could you get out of the trade? Looks like it might get us. It got us. Monster trade, though, wasn't it? Now, was that done exactly like we teach with lightning? All right. Now, does anybody remember another trade? I'm going to show you how I traded it and how you can, if you've already gotten a monster run like this, you really don't even need to take another trade to begin with. Remember? We had a mid-band trade set up on it. I always like to draw my charts. There's a swing across there. Here's mid-band. All right, my little sweet spot is more than likely in this little area right here. And I would be looking for another trade. Okay? Let's see if one sets up. It's going to have to at least hit mid-band, though. With that much of a drop, I wouldn't take it if it didn't hit mid-band. Or at least, like that predictor, you could take that. You could have probably gotten 10 ticks. Oh, I like yellow bars. What do you think about a yellow bar? You want to take it? Let's just try one. Where would you put your stop? Tighten it a little bit. And remember, we even talked about in the room this morning, why not just do one? Kind of sorry that I didn't do more than one, but then see, you're feeling some heat on this one already. See, it's red. All right. Now, if you want this trade more to where it actually breaks support, you would have to do like a wedge, to give an example. See, I see a wedge right underneath there. Could you take a wedge with touch +2? You'd still have to put your stop just above that swing, right? And it looks like it worked. All right, now what I would normally do in a situation like this, especially if it's dropped like this, I would take one off for sure at that low. Okay, and then I'd probably ride a runner, but I would also, with riding my runner, I would use lightning. And as soon as it breaks those lightnings, you just tighten your stop, tighten your stop. Because, so you don't have to use midband all the time. I mean, you know, for instance, remember I mentioned this morning. Charles and I got in right here. If I remember right, it was right at 57 or 58. I don't remember for sure. I'd have to check my log. But remember, this little trade, if I remember right, kind of bipped down. It came back up a little bit, didn't take out the highs. There's a high setting right across there. And it probably kissed it more than likely, because that's what it's trying to do. And you felt a little bit of heat. Okay? But you still, if you're going to trade, if this was my first trade of the day even, I probably would put my stop just above that swing anyway. See, that's 7 ticks, but with the close of a bar, it could be a little bit more than that. Everybody see that? But when you do get in the profit, let me show you something that you don't want to do. Is you don't want to just keep your stop at midband, not in my opinion anyway. Because couldn't you bring your stop down in this area right here? And do you remember what I said this morning on this? This actually literally reversed even. Remember it? I took it at 55. I just put my, or was it 55? Let me think. No, this actually went down some more. Let's go. You're still lower high, so we're going to stick with it. We're still in it. If it bips down again, I'm going to bring the stop to break even. There we go. That's pretty close to break even right there. See how lightning will keep you doing the right thing? Because I started thinking if it broke above, we'd go ahead and go long, but it didn't even come close to that. It kept rolling over with lower highs, so we're still okay. Everybody see that? And remember, it took out these lows and everything and did a pretty good job. But where would your stop be on this rather than midband? Couldn't it be just right above that swing right there? Like so? Using lightning, couldn't it be right across here even now? Like so? And see, you already got stopped out. Wow, I even reversed. I wouldn't have done that. Bear with me a second. All right, see that? Where it took out that little swing there to the left? Now, does anybody remember this morning in the room? If this actually busted up above that line, would that be a lightning break? That was a high energy time. Anybody remember that at all? Because that was actually a monster trade. Now, I'd usually wait on that to go above that, and I'd put my stop just under the swing. Let's see if we get anything. And then if it happened to break above this swing right here, I'd probably even add one, if it did it. And if you remember right, oil actually popped up this morning and took off and just kept on trucking. Anybody remember that? And as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I remember getting this at like 55, because we basically don't buy it down here. We buy it more as it crosses midband. Okay? Anybody remember that trade? And did that turn into an awesome trade? But again, you know, nice tight stops with your lightning swings. Because if you'll do that, you'll find that you'll do quite well in your trading. Now, what if you miss this trade entirely? All right? draw your lightning on your chart. Draw your lines on your chart. You've got a support area right here. You got a mid-band right here. You got a mid-band right here now, mid-band right here, right here. See it? You got to keep taking your line up. Starting to flatten out a little bit, not much. You got a swing right across here. Little sweet spot. Everybody see that? And I'll just about bet you that it came back to it. Now it's way up here. See it? So you got to look to the left, trade the right. You got a little support area right under here. That's a little sweet spot again. So you got to actually, if you miss a trade, you got to wait for it to pull back, or just like I said, you got to actually just grab it. If you grab it, don't let it go against you. If it's, for instance, if you're in a thrust. Okay, let's see if we can get something. It's got to come down to my predictor or into that box. Now, does anybody see? You could absolutely draw a trend line on this trade right now. See, it's already there. You can see that it's kind of breaking a little bit, right? So just redraw your trend line if you happen to miss it, because I'm still wanting to get in that box if at all possible. Am I missing any questions, by the way? Let me look here just real quick. Let's see here. Little sweet spot. I'd probably tighten it more like this right here. See the swing, thrust, retrace? That's a little bip there. I'm going to do only one because I really want it in the box because that's where support is. But I would take it with even this trend line break myself and put a nice tight stop on it. If it took out the bottom of that box, I'd probably get out of the trade. Let's see if it gets down there. There's one. It came right down to my line, didn't it? Can you get in more trades than that? Absolutely. Now, see how that one actually bipped against us? So we're out, right? That didn't turn out to be a decent trade. So what could you do, everyone, on that trade if they happen to thrust up and then they pull back at all? Well, guess what? We box under midband too. But if you're more of a conservative trader, what I would do personally is wait for them to break support where they're trying to make the support, come back and kiss it, and if they roll. Okay? Because you still do have a phantom on here so far. Okay? Anybody catch the trade when we closed the room? Does anybody remember an awesome trade that set up too? Let me show it to you. I think I've got it. We closed the room at 10 o'clock. See, if you get in a trade and they bip you and then they quickly take you out, that's the whole reason for tight stops. See how that kissed my line? Could you have shorted that there? Absolutely, you could have shorted it there. I just missed that one. It just hit my line. I got to go on 500 times to be fair about it, though, because I would have grabbed it right there. See where that resistance line is? Could you have sold that there? Absolutely, you could sell it there. But does anybody remember what happened after the room closed? Could you box it? Absolutely. See it? I boxed that little jewel after the room closed too. That was a monster. Anybody remember how far? As a matter of fact, if I remember right, let's just fast forward to the end of the day. Just real quick, if I've got it. Could you get it right there? Mid-band trade. Perfect mid-band trade. Did it hit at resistance, gave you a short, hit it at support, gave you a long? Everybody see why drawing on your charts is so important? Notice that I had that line drawn plenty ahead of time, and I mentioned that if it broke down and kissed, you take the trade. It rolled over, it got you 10 ticks. Kissed it again, rolled over, and got you much more than 10 ticks. Broke here. Matter of fact, why would you take this trade? Actually, not even here, but probably somewhere down in here. Anybody? If you're a gutsy trader, look to the left to trade the right, and you'll see why. They took out support by 3 ticks. So let me ask a quick question. If you're a gutsy trader, could you actually have taken this trade by boxing it in? And the answer is yes. But keep in mind that if you boxed it in down here, never let it go against you, and it never did. Okay? Because in hindsight, that's what it looked like. But that's also what it looked like right there. Did anybody take that down there? I bet you some of you did. I didn't actually get into it till I saw this happening, and I knew it was breaking up then. But it was pretty quick. See, that was only like 3 minutes, this area right here, from here to here. Okay? Another trade. Just kept going like a house afire. So, to take away from this tonight, you've got to get in the habit of just making sure that if you take a trade, I see where this is going right now, I think. Is that a phantom trade if it does? What do you think? Is that a phantom trade if it does? Let's see if it gets it. I drew my line. Let's just see if it does. I'm going to go ahead and try one. It went to line 2. Put my stop nice and tight. And we got us a little trade. Didn't quite come down to my line, but it came down within a tick of my line. So that's not a bad trade. That's a phantom trade, by the way. All right. So tomorrow, instead of, even if you're, somebody's on trial, or if they're new to this, they're in sim or whatever, just keep in mind that if you really get in the habit of keeping your stops a little tighter, it'll make a big difference. Okay. Kathy, on your question, well, the one thing about it is, when a person trains their eyes to see it on the charts and everything, I missed one back there because this trade right here, see, they faked us. They acted like they were going up. But when did they quit going up? Remember, we drew a line. And didn't they kiss it and rolled? See, and look at your predictors. Look at those. 10 ticks, 10 ticks. Break. All right, let's see. Hi, Gary. Could you tell how did it get you into the last trade as our OT was not activated? I just hit market. See, that's why we added these features right down here. I saw it coming to where I wanted it, and I just grabbed it by buying it. Yeah, I didn't set it up. Now, I'm going to set this trade up on the new Ninja 8, where this will actually be an actual trade that you can take like X ticks, And did that trade turn out to be a decent trade? Well, let's find out. I don't know if I've got the data or not, but let's see if it gets to that top at all. Always got to wait for the little thrust and retrace so you can tell where Lightning 1 is at least. Yeah, we just ran out of time on it. Turned out to be a decent trade. What if it comes down here and kisses this line exactly? Could you be ready to take it? Or if it kissed this swing right across here? See, it hadn't tested. It did test that. It hasn't tested right here just yet. So anywhere in this little sweet spot, I would grab it again, probably. But I don't think I've got the data. Let me check. Came right on top of our box. Yeah, it's paused. That's why we're running out of data. Okay. So I hope this webinar was, helpful. And keep in mind that, if you get in a trade even against the trend, for instance, down here, that's not a ridiculous trade because it held support. When they hold support and they break back above like this, it's not a phantom area, but it is like a little boxed area. If you take something like that, just don't let it go back against you. But your common trade that's going to pay off the most is the thrust and the pullback. Thrusts and pullbacks. Okay? But also keep in mind that if you miss this trade, could you still step into it as it kept stair stepping? And you can, but you got to put your stop under the little lightning swings if you do it. Okay. All right. Thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I didn't hit like this today doing this right here. I don't trade till way after. I got some of this today, but I didn't even wait for it to go all the way myself even. Just, sometimes when you get some monster moves, you figure you take coin before they take 15 or 20 ticks back from you. Okay. It will post tonight, Mindy. Yeah, I'll post it tonight. All right. Thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. And that's the pure reason why we use such small bars, because they stair step. They're constantly making these stair steps and they work. Okay. Now, sometimes your stop will be tight and, maybe somebody that's holding mid-band will get that monster move. But what about this one today that just kept dropping and dropping? That was, just beautiful lightning. See, it kissed resistance, dropped big time. When did this start actually taking somebody like me out of the trade? Thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust. At least right there. Did I get back in it? Remember, we talked about it. I didn't get back in here, but remember where we talked about it here? That was a good little trade. Remember I said I only took one. But the thing is about taking one contract, if you got in here and you hold that as your exit or even mid-band, you remember here? Charles got out of the trade right here, remember? And I mentioned in the room, if you got out there at 63, you only got in at like 58, so you actually lost money on the trade. Now, I don't like doing that myself, okay? Because if you took this trade, in here and you got out at mid-band, keep in mind that that was just barely, what was that, 58, and you got out at like 50, you might have kept 8 ticks is all. But if you drew a trend line instead, or even used lightning, you actually got out a little bit earlier, like down in here, didn't you? See? Because you were watching lightning stair stepping, and it broke and it changed that to green and it started heading back up. Otherwise, if you held it all the way to mid-band, you didn't make anything because your entry was here, your exit was here if you use mid-band. That's that much of a trade, nothing. But yet at one time it was a 20 ticker or better. That's why I don't like loose stops. All right. Thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll do this tomorrow in the room. Let's see. Did I miss anybody? I think I got everybody. If anybody has any questions, just ask them in the morning. And we'll show Object Trader again. I'm hoping to have actually a live trade set up on it by tomorrow, hopefully. All right. Thanks, everyone. Good night.